Hi everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will discuss top 10 Spring Core interview questions and answers. Let's begin. What is the Spring framework and why is it used? Spring is a lightweight, modular and flexible framework for building Java applications. It simplifies application development by removing the need for complex configurations and tightly coupled code. Spring promotes good design principles like dependency injection and separation of concerns, allowing applications to be more maintainable and testable. Spring is widely used because it provides an ecosystem of tools for building enterprise applications. You get modules for web development, security, data access, messaging, caching, microservices, and more. The framework is non-intrusive, meaning your classes do not need to extend Spring-specific classes. This keeps your business logic clean. Developers prefer Spring because it makes application configuration easy, reduces boilerplate code, and integrates smoothly with popular technologies like Hibernate, JPA, and REST API. Its powerful container, AOP capabilities, and extensive ecosystem make it the standard for modern Java development. Next, what is IOC, inversion of control, in Spring? Inversion of control is the fundamental principle of Spring. It means that instead of your code creating and managing objects manually, the Spring container creates, manages, and injects them for you. This removes tight coupling between classes and improves flexibility and testability. IOC allows you to focus on business logic while Spring handles object creation and lifecycle management. The container reads configuration metadata, identifies beans, and wires them together based on your definitions. IOC is especially useful in large applications where managing dependencies manually becomes complex. It also helps in unit testing because you can easily replace dependencies with mocks. In interviews, highlight that IOC is not just object creation but a design mindset where control is given to the framework instead of the developer. Next question. What is dependency injection in Spring? Dependency injection is the mechanism through which Spring implements IOC. Instead of a class creating its own dependencies, Spring injects them from the outside. This is usually done through constructor injection, setter injection, or field injection. DI reduces coupling, increases maintainability, and makes testing easier. When dependencies come from the container, you can swap implementations without modifying business logic. Spring recommends constructor injection because it ensures immutability and makes dependencies explicit. Setter injection is preferred for optional dependencies. Field injection is generally discouraged because it hides dependencies and makes testing harder. In interviews, emphasize that DI supports modular architecture, easier unit testing, and clean code. It is one of the core reasons Spring became so popular. Next, what is the Spring IOC container? The Spring IOC container is the heart of the framework. It is responsible for creating objects, configuring them, managing their lifecycle, and injecting dependencies. The two main container types are the Bean Factory and the ApplicationContext. Bean Factory is a basic container that provides lazy initialization and lightweight dependency injection. ApplicationContext is the advanced container that adds internationalization support, event handling, annotation scanning, and automatic bean post processors. Most modern Spring applications use ApplicationContext because it initializes beans eagerly, provides better integration with Spring modules, and supports annotation-based configuration. In interviews, explain that the container reads metadata from XML files, Java configuration classes, or annotations to assemble your entire application automatically. Next, what are Spring Beans? Spring Beans are objects created, configured, and managed by the Spring container. Each bean represents a component of your application, such as a service, repository, or controller. Spring decides how the bean should be instantiated, what dependencies it needs, and how long it should live. Beans can be configured using XML, Java configuration, or annotations like component, service, repository, and controller. A bean may have different scopes such as singleton, prototype, session, request, or application. The default scope is singleton, meaning Spring creates only one instance of the bean per container. In interviews mention that Spring Beans help achieve loose coupling because developers do not manually manage object creation. Next question: what is Beans scope in Spring? Beans scope defines the lifecycle and visibility of a Spring Bean. The most commonly used scope is singleton, where only a single instance of the bean exists for the entire container. This is the default. Prototype scope creates a new bean instance every time it is requested. This is used when the object contains state that must not be shared. For web applications, additional scopes exist. Request scope creates a new bean per HTTP request. Session scope creates one bean per user session. Application scope creates one bean per web application. Understanding scopes is important because incorrect usage can lead to memory issues or unexpected shared state. Interviewers look for clarity on when and why different scopes are used. Next, what is autowiring in Spring? Autowiring is Spring's feature for automatically injecting dependencies without explicitly specifying them in configuration. It matches beans based on type, name, or constructor arguments. Spring supports several autowiring modes such as by type, by name, constructor, and annotation-based autowiring using autowired. Autowiring simplifies configuration but can cause issues when multiple beans of the same type exist. In such cases, qualifiers or primary annotations help resolve ambiguity. In interviews mention that autowiring reduces boilerplate, keeps configuration clean, and integrates well with annotation-based development. Next, what is the difference between Bean Factory and ApplicationContext? Bean Factory is the basic Spring container. It provides simple dependency injection with lazy bean initialization. It loads beans only when they are requested. ApplicationContext is a more advanced and feature-rich container. It supports event publishing, internationalization, annotation scanning, and bean post processors. It loads all singleton beans during startup, which improves performance at runtime. Most modern applications favor ApplicationContext because it integrates better with Spring MVC, Spring Security, and Spring Boot. Interviewers often ask this question to check if the candidate understands Spring's internal architecture. Next, what is Spring AOP? AOP stands for Aspect-Oriented Programming. It allows developers to separate cross-cutting concerns such as logging, security, transactions, metrics, and auditing. Instead of writing duplicate code across multiple classes, AOP lets you write one aspect that applies to many methods. This reduces clutter and keeps business logic clean. Spring AOP is proxy-based and works mainly with method-level cross-cutting functionality. Interviewers expect you to explain that AOP helps eliminate repetitive code and makes applications easier to maintain. Next, what is the role of @component, @service, @repository, and @controller? These annotations are Spring stereotypes that mark classes as components managed by the Spring container. Component is the most general stereotype used for any Spring managed class. Service represents service-level classes that contain business logic. Repository represents data access classes and adds exception translation for database operations. Controller represents web layer components in Spring MVC. Using these annotations helps Spring automatically detect and register beans through component scanning. They also make the application architecture cleaner by clearly defining the role of each layer. In interviews, emphasize that these annotations improve readability, structure, and maintainability.